Continuing our Gen 5 series, today we're going to see how fast we can beat Pokemon White with just an Emboar. If you're new around here, rules are in the description. So the first thing I want to talk about is Emboar's design, and for a fire fighting type Pokemon, I think I like Infernape a little better, especially when it comes to the stats. While Emboar just has slightly more physical attack, Infernape has slightly more special attack, but the 108 speed would definitely benefit Emboar. At base 65, it's slower than Samurott, and I have a feeling it's going to fail to outspeed key targets in this run. Just like Samurott, Emboar is a Pokemon that has multiple moves at level 1, so we're going to miss out on Hammer Arm, and man, that would have been great to have in the early game. We will have Arm Thrust on our moveset by the time we face Lenora, and Flame Charge can help mitigate our low speed. By TM and HM, Emboar can learn a lot, and I had to double clip this from Bulbapedia. One move to note is that it can learn Bulk Up. Unfortunately, that TM is locked in the post game. But we do get access to Work Up early on. Flamethrower and Earthquake are also locked in the post game, so Emboar will be getting those once it reaches round 2 of the Elite Four. I could cover all the moves on this, but I'll let you hit pause, look at everything, and make your final guesses. I mentioned that I'm going to get access to Work Up soon, and I will once I defeat the gym leader in Strident City. I have to defeat my rival Charon first, and I got a little worried in this one because the Oshawott was able to bring me to half HP. Fortunately for Emboar,
he's too strong
to be taken out by my rival this time, but we'll see if that changes throughout the run. By the way, I hope you liked that Star Fox bit, one of my favorite games to play when growing up. Anyway, since we chose a fire type in this run, we're going to be battling Cress instead of Silent. Let's see how this one goes. Up first is Lillipup. It would have been nice to have Hammer Arm for this thing because it would have easily one-shot it. Ember can get the job done over 4 turns though. I level up after knocking it out and I can learn Defense Curl, which I will teach Emboar. I get Rollout at level 23, and you know where I'm going with this. He sends out his ace Panpour, I go for Tail Whip just to weaken its defense so Tackle will do more, and it does over half. It never attacks me, and Emboar takes this one pretty easily. With the victory, I've earned myself the Trio Badge and the TM for Workup, which I'm going to teach Emboar right away in the place of Tail Whip. We have to venture to the Dream Yard next and deal with Team Plasma, but there's nothing of relevancy there, so let's just jump ahead to Route 3. We have our second rival battle with Charon here, and his Oshawott does 0 damage to me along with the Purloin, so I'm not gonna bother showing this one. Afterwards is the double battle against the Plasma Grunts with my rival, and we crush them. Emboar is just kinda having an easy time in the early game, but I expect that all to change. In Nakarine City, just like I did with Samurott, I'm going to talk to the girl in the far left house. Pending who your starter is, you'll get the Miracle Seed, Mystic Water, or the Charcoal, and the Charcoal's gonna come in handy for Emboar. I have a battle against N outside the gym, I crush him. And Lenora's trainers, I crush them as well. And I expect things to continue against the gym leader herself. Because of Hertier's Intimidate, I do have a lowered attack stat, so I go for 2 workups, and then I go for Flame Charge just to make sure I outspeed Watchog, but I end up one-shotting Hertier. Her ace comes in, and I do outspeed it, and Flame Charge boosted with Charcoal, along with the workup, is doing massive damage, and after 3 of them, I take victory. We have to venture to Pinwheel Forest to retrieve the stolen goods from the museum, and the most annoying thing here is that I keep getting poisoned by every trainer I face. There are Pokemon Rangers Irene and Miguel who give you Pecha Berries after defeating them. You can also get Chesto Berries from Pokemon Rangers Forest and Audra, or is it pronounced Audrey? I've never seen it spelled that way, so let me know in the comments. Anyway, at the end of the forest, I can get back the stolen Dragon Skull and then make my way to Castelia City. And I want to point out a mistake I made in this run. You see, in the back alley, you can get the TM for Flash, which I thought I was going to need to illuminate a certain cave I'm going to enter later. But the emulator actually does it for me. If you remember in the Samurott run, when I went in Mistralton Cave, It was the weird black lines that were across the screen. I don't understand what's going on, but maybe it's a Desmume thing, and while I did catch a Blitzel for the purpose of using Flash, now it can just sit in my party so I don't have to use Zekrom later on. After taking care of Team Plasma, before facing Berg, I head to the Castelia building to pick up something, the TM for Rest. With all the Chesto berries I got in Pinwheel Forest, I could probably make use of that combo later. Now I head to Berg's gym. The trainers here are no match for Emboar, and unlike Samurott, it doesn't have to do any additional training in order to face the Bug-type specialist. I expect this to be the easiest gym battle of the run. Whirlipede is first. I one-shot it with Flame Charge. He sends out Dwebble next. While Flame Charge does over half, its Smackdown and Retaliation does pathetic damage. I knock it out on the next turn and last is Leavanny. I outspeed it thanks to all the Flame Charges, and it's stalling with Protect, but we one-shot it. Next up are back-to-back rival battles with Bianca and Charon, and maybe I shouldn't say back-to-back because you can save and heal before you face Charon. Anyway, I take out Herdier with a Flame Charge and Muna comes out next. Flame Charge barely misses the one-shot, and Psybeam is doing alright damage. Maybe the only time being a part fighting type is gonna suck. Anyway, thanks to all those Flame Charges, I'm going to outspeed her team, and I'm able to take them out easy. The battle against Charon, easy as well. It's the rollout show, although P-Dove and the Sandstorm do chip me down some. Like I did with Samurott, I'm going to pick up the rare candy in the Desert Resort along with the TM for Rock Tomb. My thought process at the time was that this move would give me super effective damage against Elisa's Emolgas, although Flame Charge could probably one-shot them as well. I also pass on picking up the Heart Scale here, not sure why. This run was filmed on November 30th, so I can't really tell ya. Once I enter Nimbasa City after defeating Team Plasma, I'm going to head straight to the Pokemon Center and buy the TM for Return. I get the HM for Strength, and then I have a battle against N after riding on the Ferris wheel with him. And if I'm showing you this battle, then you know that it means something. I go for Rollout on Sigilif hoping to build power, but my second one misses, and it used Tailwind, which is going to double the speed out of all of his Pokemon. By the time I knock it out, I'm left with 39 HP thanks to leveling up for his remaining 2 Pokemon. Of course I miss my first Rollout on Darumaka as it chips me down with Headbutt, and then its Facade misses. I can knock it out, but the last Pokemon is Scraggy. Rollout fails to get the one-shot. Brick Break brings me to 2 HP. My next Rollout misses as its Brick Break connects, and that's a reset. Well, I shouldn't say reset because I take a blackout here. I couldn't remember the last time I had saved, and I really didn't want to redo the desert if it was before that. Also, you might be wondering how I have a Simisage. Well, I picked up a Leaf Stone in Castelia City. I thought Simisage could learn Strength, but it can't. The elemental monkeys are trash. Before the next battle, I opt to teach Emboar Return in the place of Rollout. Watching the footage back of the first battle, I realized I didn't set up any workups, so I do that in this second battle. And after a setup of +2, I'm able to sweep through his entire team this time. Sigilif is not a problem. Okay, in Elisa's gym, I want to go on a little bit of a rant here. Why can Emboar not learn Dig? I was actually curious if pigs dig holes, and yeah, they do, according to Google. And it got me thinking, what other pig-like Pokemon can or cannot learn Dig? So once again, I consulted Google, and this thumbnail of one of Pimp Knight's videos where he uses a theme team of all pig Pokemon came up, so I used that to help my results as well. Alright, so Mankey and Primeape, the pig-monkey Pokemon, both of them can learn Dig as early as Generation 1. Alright, how about an evolution line from Gens 2 and 4? Swinub, the pig Pokemon, and Piloswine, the swine Pokemon. This line got access to Dig in Gen 4, which makes sense with the addition of Mamoswine in that gen, but at least they gave Swinub and Piloswine access to Earthquake in Gen 2. Alright, a Pokemon from Gen 3. Spoink and Grumpig. It makes sense that Spoink can't learn Dig because its Pokedex entry says if it stops bouncing, it dies, but Grumpig doesn't get access to it until Generation 9, which also happens to be the same generation that the Tepig line learns Dig, which is also the same generation that introduced Lechonk to us, and its evolution Oinkoloin? Did I say that correctly? I don't know, I'm not gonna bother looking that one up. The only other pig-like Pokemon or pig-looking Pokemon that showed up in my research is Munna and Musharna, which, following the theme of pink-colored Pokemon, it's in the fast level up group, and I think it might do pretty well when I eventually run it. Alright, with my pig rant out of the way, let's go ahead and take on the electric-type specialist, Elisa. All of her Pokemon outspeed Emboar, and the first Emolga goes for Aerial Ace, doing less than a quarter. I go for Flame Charge, which barely misses the one-shot and boosts my speed. Since she's going to heal with the Hyper Potion, I decide to get a workup in, and because I now outspeed thanks to Flame Charge, I can one-shot the first Emolga, I can one-shot the second Emolga, and Zebstrika goes down to a single Flame Charge as well. Me and Emboar played dress up at the theater with Bianca. At least this part of the game isn't like how it is in Black and White 2, and we're gonna jump ahead past the rival battle and go straight to Driftveil City at the cold storage. I decide to pick up Scald for some extra coverage for Emboar, mainly so I have some type of coverage against Clay and his ground type trainers. Although Emboar has a type disadvantage, I feel pretty confident about this one, although Clay's Excadrill can hit like a truck. Let's see how this one goes. Krokorok is up first and it's one shot by Scald. Palpitoad comes out next. Scald will deal neutral damage, and while we don't one-shot it, we do burn it, but it does hit me with Bulldoze, lowering my speed. Since it now outspeeds me, I go for Flame Charge, and I am able to finish it off, although Muddy Water did deal some chip damage. Last is Excadrill. I go for Scald because it's my best option, and it does over 3/4, as Bulldoze brings me to 6 HP. The next turn I go for Flame Charge because Clay is going to heal up and I need to outspeed Excadrill. And Flame Charge without a critical hit actually gets the one shot. I was actually really surprised by this, so I looked up some stuff in post. First, I want to note that my Emboar's attack stat is 114 and my special attack stat is 91. Now let's look at Excadrill's base stats. And Excadrill actually has pretty weak defensive stats. Its speed is also a lot better than I thought it was. I can't wait to run this thing. I've always thought it was a pretty cool Pokemon. As we leave town, we have a rival battle against Bianca, and if you're seeing this, then you know something's up. We take out Herdier easily. Panpour hangs on from an arm thrust as it hits us with Scald. Bianca heals it up, and another arm thrust takes it out thanks to a crit. Musharna is where the problems start. I go for Scald when I should have went for Flame Charge. It's about a 3-hit KO, and Psybeam is adding up as it brings me down to 10 HP. This, however, brings me into Blaze range, and with the Charcoal held, Flame Charge is going to be doing excellent damage. It one-shots Musharna, and her final Pokemon is Servine, which it'll obviously one-shot. That was a close one with Bianca. One thing I will give Bianca props for is that she actually beat me in a practice run of learning these games, because I forgot to heal. It's nice to know that the rivals can pose some type of challenge though. Let's go ahead and pick this up in Chargestone Cave. Since the next gym leader is Skyla, who I almost called Winona, which is kind of funny, I probably should be picking up some optional battles in here. There are plenty of mandatory battles against Plasma Grunts and N at the end of the cave though. He's not a challenge though, so this is going to be the only time I mention him. One thing I think is going to be standard in these playthroughs for the time being is picking up the rare candy along with the bright powder in Chargestone Cave. Once I arrive in Mistralton City, I immediately head to Route 7 and the Celestial Tower. I'll be picking up quite a few battles in between now and when I battle Skyla, because I could see her giving Emboar some trouble. Before I streamed Black 2 and White 2 on the channel, I actually sat down to do a solo run in them in December of 2023, and the Pokemon I chose was Emboar. I've since scrapped the footage because it was just a lot of me running around trying to figure out what to do and where to go, and Skyla was one of the gym leaders in that game that totally walled me. Just looking back on it, going into the game's totally blind, not knowing where anything is, no type of plan, and no practice run under my belt to know what to expect or how to do anything really, just would have made for a brutal viewing experience from a video perspective. Although from a stream perspective, it's a little better. I still have yet to finish Black 2 and White 2, and I still need to rearrange some notes on those games, so maybe I should come back and finish those games on stream. That's enough rambling from me though. Nothing interesting happens here as you see in the footage, so let's pick this up in Skyla's gym. The last thing I'll mention about Black 2 White 2 Skyla is that her team is a whole lot easier in Black and White 1 compared to Black and White 2. Let's see how this goes for Emboar. As you saw in the snips from Bulbapedia, there's a significant level difference in her Pokemon in Black and White and Black 2 and White 2. Swoobat goes down to 1 Flame Charge. Unfezant is next, and I've added Rock Tomb to my moveset just for this battle. I opt for Flame Charge though, just to make sure I outspeed the rest of her team. It just hits me with Leer, as a second knocks it out. Her last Pokemon is Swanna. This is where I want to start going for Rock Tomb. My first one misses as she sets up an Aqua Ring, and my second nearly one-shots it as Aerial Ace does over a quarter to me. Really, that did almost half. I don't know why I didn't just redo that line. Anyway, she's stuck in a healing loop now, and we easily take out Swanna when she runs out of Hyper Potions. I'm honestly very impressed and very surprised with how Emboar has been doing in this run so far. It's on pace to beat Samurot's round 1 time, but who knows if it can hold that momentum come the post game. Before entering Twist Mountain, I have a rival battle against Charon, whom I crush, and I actually got lost in Twist Mountain, entering the wrong cave somewhere and finding the TM for Flash Cannon. I'll have to make note of this because this will come in handy later, or a future run that is. Once I arrive in Iciris City though, I'm going to head straight for Bryson's gym. The Ice-type gym leader is no match for Emboar's sheer strength, as it's a series of 3 one-shots. I then head to Dragon Spiral Tower and catch a Druddigan, who will be my Surf and Strength user. Of course, I also have to deal with Team Plasma while here, and I didn't save or heal before this back-to-back-to-back-to-back battle against some Plasma Grunts. Luckily, Emboar barely loses any HP between the 4 battles. We meet N and Reshiram at the top of the tower, and then need to head to the Relic Castle in the desert. After we track down Ghetsis here, we then need to backtrack to Nakreen City and receive the Dark Stone from Lenora. Since Pinwheel Forest is right outside of town, I'm going to backtrack there and pick up the rare candy instead of doing it after I defeat Iris. I then backtrack for the rare candy on Route 2, and then head outside of Driftveil City. I catch a Basculin for the purpose of using Waterfall later in the playthrough, but for now I want to pick up the TM for Poison Jab, along with visiting the Mistralton Cave. Here I want to pick up the extra rare candy, battle Cabalion for some extra experience, and pick up the TM for Rock Slide. Alright, rival battle with Bianca before entering Opalucid City. Since it is raining on the route, I figured Scald was my best plan of attack. It 2-shots Stoutland as Simipour comes out next. My first head smash misses as it goes for Leer, and the second 1-shots it. But I take quite a bit of damage back in recoil. Musharna comes out next, and this thing was a problem in the last battle. Scald does over half burning it as it puts me to sleep with Hypnosis. It follows it up with a Psybeam that confuses me. I stay asleep as Bianca heals it with a full restore, and I stay asleep once again, and its next Psybeam takes me out. Because I hadn't saved after running all those errands, I decide to take the Blackout. This also gives me an opportunity to change my held item to a Chesto Berry to help get around Hypnosis. I make it back to the Musharna in the next battle, and Scald gets a critical hit, one-shotting it. Alright, so much for playing around Hypnosis. Last is superior. Flamethrower nearly gets the one-shot on it as she just goes for Coil. From here, she's just going to be stuck in a healing loop, so I go for Flame Charge and one last Flamethrower to finish it off. On the way to Opalucid City on this bridge, there's a guy running in a big circle wearing red. He gives you the TM for Flame Charge when you talk to him. I figured this could come in handy if I need to reteach the move for some reason. I beeline it to the gym after Ghetsis and Team Plasma leave the town square, and I've had a bit of a moveset overhaul, now working with Work Up, pun intended, Flamethrower, Brick Break, and Head Smash. I picked up the TM for Brick Break in Iciris City, which I failed to mention earlier. It will give me neutral coverage against the dragon types here, along with Head Smash, without the recoil that Head Smash has. While I could teach Rock Slide in the place of it, I like having the extra power. Let's see if this will be enough to deal with Iris. I set up a workup on Fracture as it goes for Dragon Dance. Brick Break is able to get the one-shot. She sends out Druddigan next, which has Sheer Force as opposed to Rough Skin, and Brick Break gets the one-shot. Last is Haxorus. I go for Head Smash on it, hoping to get the one-shot. My first one misses as it sets up, my second hits, one-shotting it. All 8 gym badges down, and Emboar made that seem very easy. It definitely wasn't like that in Black 2 and White 2 for me when I tried to run this thing. Before heading to Victory Road in the Pokemon League, there are some extra errands I need to take care of. The first is heading to Route 1. Since I now have Surf, I can head to Route 17. There are some battles here that I accidentally run into, and some items that I can pick up along the way. The item I want though is the HM for Waterfall, which is going to come in handy very soon and in the post-game. I then backtrack to Route 6 to get the rare candy east of Nimbasa City, and to Lostlorn Forest to get the rare candy that requires Waterfall. Bianca's gotten a lot of screen time in this video, so let's give Charon some. You have a rival battle with him outside of Victory Road, and while I'm able to take down his Unpheasant quickly, his Samurott makes quick work of me, dealing massive damage with Aqua Tail and then finishing me with Aqua Jet. In the next battle, I try setting up on Unpheasant as I go for workup and it just goes for Detect. Flamethrower makes quick work of it again and I'm back on to Samurott. Both of us miss a Head Smash and Aqua Tail, and then I switch it up to Brick Break, which gets the one-shot, although the crit probably mattered. From here, both Liepard and Simisear go down to 1 Brick Break. In Victory Road, there is another TM that Emboar could obtain, the TM for Wild Charge. Unfortunately, I didn't pick it up before facing the Elite Four. The guides I read were not very good at explaining where it was, so I watched a video where it was, and I felt extremely stupid that I couldn't find it. I guess it doesn't really matter. While I do pick it up when I get to the post-game, I never make use of it. Plus I have Head Smash, which has 60 more base power and also deals recoil damage. I make sure to visit Terrakion and knock him out for some extra experience, and now I'm ready to take on the League. Let's see how Emboar holds its own against the Elite Four. I start things off with Grimsley. His team is a one-shot sweep with Brick Break, thanks to a critical hit on the Crocodile that has Intimidate. I go after Ghost Trainer Chantal next. You can see I didn't heal after the Grimsley fight, and Cofagrigus' Psychic does about a quarter to me. Flamethrower knocks it out after I set up with a workup and Golurk comes out. Flamethrower is able to get the one-shot on it as well, and out comes Jellicent. I wanted Wild Charge for this thing. I go for Bulldoze because I don't really know what to go for, as it hits me with a massive Surf. I'm now in Blaze range, and Flamethrower can finish it, and Cursed Body activates on it. Perfect, because her last Pokemon is Chandelure. I taught Bulldoze just for this thing in case I didn't have enough HP for Head Smash, which it one-shots it. Up next is Marshall. I've retaught Flame Charge to try to mitigate the speed losses I'm going to suffer from Bulldoze. I do manage to squeeze in a workup as well, and I still outspeed Throw even after all of the Bulldozes. The good news is that I'll outspeed Sawk as well. It's annoying because of its ability Sturdy, and thank God its Stone Edge doesn't do a lot of damage to me. I can knock it out after Marshall burns all of his full restores on it, and from here, Flamethrower has more than enough power to one-shot both Conkeldurr and Mienshao. But now I have to deal with Caitlyn, the Psychic-type specialist of the Elite Four. I set up a workup as Reuniclus's Psychic hits me for massive damage. Return isn't able to get the one-shot, and it finishes me off. In the next battle, I don't bother trying to set up. Flamethrower can't get the one-shot as Psychic does massive damage again. Well, I should say I don't set up right away because she's going to heal with a full restore, so I can squeeze in a workup. At +1, Flamethrower can get the one-shot, but I have to deal with Musharna again. I try Return, it doesn't get the one-shot, and Psychic finishes me. I decide to go the route of rare candies and go from level 62 to level 65 above 2 damage rounding thresholds. Even at level 65, Flamethrower still can't get the one-shot on Reuniclus, but I have a new plan. I'm still gonna go for workup as she heals it with a full restore so Flamethrower can knock it out on the next turn. But against Musharna, I'm going to go for Head Smash. It gets the one hit, and the recoil damage brings me to 8 HP, and this is perfect because now I'm in Blaze range, and with that combined with the Charcoal, Flamethrower will one-shot Sigilif and Gothitelle. The fact I had to use some candies before N and Getsis could spell bad news. I'm also dreading Caitlyn in the rematches, where her team's going to be at a much higher level, and she's going to have a Metagross with Zen Headbutt and Earthquake. The one good thing so far about this run is that I have a full party before proceeding to End's Castle, unlike I did with Samurott, and at least they give me a rare candy to make up for one of the ones I used during the league. Alright, we've got 2 tough back-to-back battles. It's time for Emboar to clock in with its round 1 time. Reshiram is his lead. I go for Head Smash, and it one-shots it, but I take nearly half of my HP in recoil damage. Brick Break won't one-shot Caracosta thanks to Sturdy, as Waterfall deals massive damage. N is now in a healing loop, but it doesn't matter, because this thing has Aqua Jet, and when it goes for it, Emboar's finished. I've changed up my moveset some, deleting Head Smash and Brick Break for Bulldoze and Rock Slide, along with using my rare candies. Bulldoze doesn't get the one-shot on Reshiram, but it does give me an opportunity to get a workup in thanks to a full restore. Rock Slide is able to get the one-shot. Up next is the annoying Caracosta. Bulldoze won't get the one-shot because of Sturdy as Waterfall deals massive damage, but N only has 1 full restore, and after we take out the annoying turtle, his team is no problem, with all of them falling to either a single Bulldoze, Rock Slide, or Flamethrower. 1 of 2 back-to-back battles down, although I have read that if you lose to Getsis and black out, you don't have to rebattle N. I don't know how true that is, but hopefully I don't ever have to play a Pokemon where I need to blackout grind against N and Getsis. And hopefully this is a spot in the run where Superior doesn't struggle in the next video. Well, let's get through this final battle so Emboar can clock in with its round 1 time. I hope this doesn't take me more than like 3 attempts. He leads with the annoying Cofagrigus. I set up a workup as it goes for Toxic, and at this point the battle is over. I don't have the offensive firepower to knock out his Pokemon quickly enough before Toxic stacks up and knocks me out. After rebattling N, I come back into the battle with a Pecha Berry and my moveset changed. I now have Brick Break once again because I need something to deal with Bouffalant. Getsis burns through his full restore and my Pecha Berry takes care of Toxic. Cofagrigus stalls some with Protect as it finally goes down to another Flamethrower. Out comes Bouffalant and the Buffalo Bill falls to a single Brick Break. I level up and up next is Seismitoad. The best I have to use against it is Brick Break, which doesn't one-shot it as Earthquake deals pretty good damage. My next one takes it out, and from here the battle is simple. The pseudo-legendary Hydreigon falls to a single Brick Break. Electros gives me a bit of a scare as Brick Break doesn't one-shot it and it hits me with Acrobatics. It falls on the next turn from Flamethrower though, and all that's left is Bisharp, which falls to a double super effective Brick Break. Emboar clocks in with a real time of 3 hours, 17 minutes, and 10 seconds. At level 71 with an in-game time of 7 hours and 2 minutes, only beating Samurott by 1 minute in-game time, although its round 1 felt a lot more dominant than the water types. It did, however, beat Samurott's real time by over 15 minutes. But as you know, because there is a lot of human error, the metric I use is game time. As you know, there's a lot to do in the post-game when it comes to preparing for the round 2 league. Since the game starts you back in New Vema Town, I might as well visit Professor Juniper and get the TMs for False Swipe, Protect, and Hidden Power. Although Hidden Power isn't banned in these playthroughs, you have to see 100 wild Pokemon in order for her to give it to you, and by the time you see 100 wild Pokemon, I don't know exactly when that would happen, but I don't see how it would benefit any Pokemon, so I just run perfect DVs and hope for the best. Remember earlier in the video when I complained about not being able to find Wild Charge? Yeah, here it is. Look how easy that was. Up next is the Desert Resort, and I'm going to make my way back to the Relic Castle. There are a few things you can get here in the post-game. One of them is an encounter with Volcarona, another is the TM for Calm Mind. For Emboar, it's going to be getting the TM for Earthquake, which I wish was available prior to the post-game. I make my way to Route 15 towards White Forest and Route 14 while battling some trainers along the way. Samurott beat the Round 2 League at level 88, and I was predicting that Emboar was probably going to need around the same, maybe higher like level 90. On Route 14, I run into a little bit of a hiccup against Ace Trainer Junko. She leads with a Perugly, who you might think is no problem for Emboar, but this thing has swagger. An Emboar hits itself for nearly a quarter of its HP in Confusion. While I am able to take it out the next turn, its Body Slam has brought me to under half, and while I can one-shot the following Lapras with Brick Break thanks to the +2 in attack, her last Pokemon is Espeon, which outspeeds Emboar, and its Psychic takes me out. Because I haven't saved, I have to take the Blackout. I guess it's a good thing I healed at the White Forest Pokemon Center, otherwise this would probably suck. I make sure to avoid her the second time around, and now I'm just gonna go straight to what I came to this route for. You can go up this waterfall here, and there's a Sage at the top, and after you talk to him, he gives you the TM for Bulk Up. I know in Gen 3, this move is a must-have for fighting types, and considering my attack stat is nearly 70 points higher than my special attack stat, it'll be a nice replacement for Workup. I can head to the Abundant Shrine next and pick up the TM for Flamethrower along with another rare candy. This place is also full of trainers, so Emboar can get some much needed experience. If only Landorus was here, I would love to knock out a level 70 legendary. After clearing out all the trainers on Route 14 with the exception of Ace Trainer Junko, I make my way to Undella Town. Of course, I'm gonna skip battling against Cynthia and instead go to Route 13 to the north and battle the trainers there. I skipped going to the Giant Chasm in this playthrough because there was nothing Emboar needed there. Samurai only went there for the TM for Ice Beam, although 4,000 experience points from knocking out a legendary would be pretty nice. I eventually make my way up to Route 12 to finish off all of the trainers on the map. While I still have rare candies in my inventory, by the time Emboar finishes its training, it's level 78. When it comes to real time, I'm about 30 minutes into the postgame and still have quite a bit of leveling up to do, so I decide to try my hand against Cynthia. And things go terribly for Emboar. While I am able to get by the Spiritomb, she has 3 Pokemon that can easily make quick work of Emboar, with Braviary, Garchomp, and Milotic. The last which she sends out next. Brick Break isn't able to get the one-shot on it, and Hydro Pump knocks me out from 193 HP. Instead of taking the Blackout, I reset and try again, changing up my moveset, replacing Bulk Up and Rock Slide with Wild Charge and Work Up. Even with one Work Up, it still takes 2 hits to knock out the Spiritomb with Flamethrower. Wild Charge is then able to one-shot Milotic and Braviary, but I'm at half HP because of the recoil when Garchomp comes out. It outspeeds me, and Earthquake is able to finish me off. So it's obvious Cynthia isn't happening now. I backtrack and defeat Ace Trainer Junko along with rebattling Terrakion for some extra experience, and then I decide to take some attempts at the League. I decide to try my luck with Grimsley since I do have a type advantage against him, but his round 2 team is pretty difficult. Because of Sharpedo outspeeding me and hitting me with Waterfall, along with it having the ability Rough Skin, I'm at 74 HP for his remaining 5 Pokemon. And thanks to Crocodile's Intimidate, Brick Break barely misses the one-shot and it's able to finish me with Earthquake. How about a different League member, like Ghost Trainer Chantal? Well, Cofagrigus still has Psychic, and it still deals massive damage. Even after a setup with Workup, Flamethrower still can't get the one-shot, and like with Grimsley, I have to contend with 5 more Pokemon with low HP. And in this battle, Jellicent is able to finish me with Shockwave after Earthquake doesn't get the one-shot. Against Marshall, things are even worse. I don't even make it past his opening Breloom, as its second Sky Uppercut critical hits, knocking me out. I don't realize it yet, but I really should be Blackout training against the League. In terms of game time, Emboar is at about 8 hours and 30 minutes when starting these rematches, meaning if it wants to beat Samurot's in-game time for the post-game, it's going to have to do this in less than 49 minutes. And I just don't see that happening, but there is a place that I didn't explore with Samurott that I'm going to do with Emboar. Welcome to Challenger's Cave. Originally, I came here for TM71 Stone Edge to give me something with a bit more power in the league, but you can also pick up the Black Belt and an extra rare candy here, both of which I get. This place is also full of additional trainers who have Pokemon in the 60s, and Ace Trainer Beverly, who we just had a freeze frame on, yeah, she gets Emboar. Her Grumpig is able to deal massive damage with Psychic, and while we are able to knock it out on the next turn, her last Pokemon is Gabite, and I make a mistake here. Flamethrower boosted by Blaze and the Charcoal probably would have given me better damage, but it goes for Dig when Brick Break fails to get the one-shot, and I get knocked out. Lovely. I make sure to start saving after every battle because I had to withdraw all of my HM users again from the league, but Emboar is able to make it by her the second time. And Ace Trainer Beverly isn't the only trainer to give Emboar some resets in here. There's a spinner coming up named Veteran Sean, and I'm gonna freeze frame it here and just show you his team. He has a full party of 6 that are fully evolved, all ranging from level 62 to 63. And yeah, the battle against him goes terribly. His opening Gyarados has Intimidate, and I don't have anything that can hit this thing for super effective damage. It resists all of my attacks, and he catches me multiple times, and I suffer multiple losses. Eventually, I am able to get by him, and you're going to see me save my game immediately. After getting by him, I'm rewarded with a few different items. The first is this hidden rare candy, and just above that is the TM for Stone Edge. After surfing across the water and picking up the black belt, I backtrack and see if I can defeat Veteran Sean. And the answer is no, unfortunately I can't. While I am able to one-shot the Gyarados with Stone Edge, thanks to a critical hit, the following Gigalith though hangs on from a Brick Break, and its own Stone Edge does about a third to me. I knock it out on the next turn and level up, and out comes Druddigan. Maybe I should have gone for Stone Edge, but I choose Brick Break instead. It does about half as it hits me with Outrage, bringing me to 94 HP. While I'm able to knock it out on the next turn and one-shot the following Excadrill with Flamethrower, now I have to deal with Crobat. Stone Edge barely misses the one-shot as its Air Slash brings me to 4 HP, and now I need to one-shot his final Pokemon Snorlax in order to get the win. Brick Break does not, and Wild Charge knocks me out. At this point, I dug out of Challenger's Cave because I really didn't know what else to do. I decided to try more attempts at Cynthia, but even at a higher level with a slightly better moveset, I still get loss after loss after loss. You can see that I popped my rare candies in that last battle as well just to see if it made a difference. Emboar is really struggling in the post game, and it's at this point I decided to try my hand at the league again. Just like the last round 2 Grimsley battle, Sharpedo outspeeds, and thanks to Waterfall and Rough Skin, I'm left with about a third of my HP to contend with the rest of his team. However, things are a bit different this time. After Crocodile's Intimidate, Brick Break is able to get the one-shot on it. He sends out Scrafty next, and while Brick Break can't get the one-shot on it and Head Smash deals big damage to me, the recoil knocks it out. His final 3 Pokemon, Liepard, Bisharp, and Drapion, are all one-shot with either Brick Break or Flamethrower. One thing that I failed to mention is that I had the Black Belt as my held item for that last battle, and I've switched it to the Bright Powder for Marshall. Flamethrower makes quick work of Breloom, and out comes Throw. I continue using Flamethrower in hopes of getting a burn and weakening his Pokemon's physical attack. Unfortunately, I don't get it as its Earthquake deals about a third to me, and I'm able to knock it out and one-shot the following Toxicroak. Flamethrower also one-shots his Ace Conkeldurr along with Mienshao, and out is Sawk, his final Pokemon. Because of its ability Sturdy, Flamethrower won't one-shot it as it just misses a Stone Edge, and from there, Marshall's in a healing loop, and once he runs out of full restores, it's over. Ghost Trainer Chantel is next. Notice how I haven't even attempted Caitlyn yet in these round 2 rematches, and I think I may have found a use for Hidden Power Dark, as it pairs really well here against Chantel in the round 2 rematches. Against Jellicent, it does over half as it misses its Hydro Pump. Thank you, Bright Powder. I knock it out on the next turn, but unfortunately, Golurk is where things start to go south. Hidden Power fails to get the one-shot on it, as it hits me with Curse, taking itself out, but now I'm going to lose a quarter of my HP every turn. And because Frostlast outspeeds me and hits me with Psychic, although I knock it out in one hit, Curse takes me out. And this wasn't happening, as I take loss after loss after loss before I finally decide to just black out and keep the experience. After rebattling Grimsley and Marshall, I'm now level 88. I managed to squeeze in 2 workups against Cofagrigus as it hits me with 2 Psychics. I'm down to a third of my HP, but I'm hoping the attack boost helped me out. I'm able to knock out the Cofagrigus along with the following Jellicent with Earthquake. Golurk is a problem though because it can deal super effective damage and hit me with Curse, but Flamethrower gets the one-shot. She sends out Frostlast next, who still outspeeds me, but we get a Psychic miss thanks to the Bright Powder. She has 2 Pokemon left. Drifblim, who is one-shot by Flamethrower, and Chandelure, who is one-shot by Earthquake. Psychic Trainer Caitlyn, and there's a reason I've been putting this one off, aside from the type advantage she has over Emboar. Her lead Musharna is rather bulky. It also hits like a truck with Dream Eater, doing over 2/3 of my HP. Thankfully I wake up on the next turn, but Return doesn't get the one-shot. We do outspeed though, this thing is rather slow. We do outspeed the following Metagross and one-shot it with Flamethrower, but things fall apart at Sigilyph. Another very defensive Pokemon, Return can't get the one-shot, and it's able to finish me with Air Slash. The following battle doesn't go any better, as Emboar stays asleep from Hypnosis and Dream Eater makes quick work of me. I need a bit of luck in this one. I need either a Hypnosis miss, which I don't get, or I need to wake up quickly so I can set up 2 workups, the second of which happens. At +2, Return can one-shot Musharna, Flamethrower will make quick work of Metagross, and I have Stone Edge on my moveset for Sigilyph. But the +2 also gives me the damage ranges to one-shot the Bronzong, Reuniqueless, and her final Pokemon Gothitelle. At long last, Emboar has finally made it to the champion, and I feel like it matches up against Alder's team better than Samurott did, considering 3 out of his 6 Pokemon have a major weakness to Fire-type moves. It's time for Emboar to end this run and clock in with its final time. Excelgor's the lead. While it does outspeed and hit me with a Focus Blast that does about 1/4 of my HP, Flamethrower knocks it out in one hit. Bouffalant falls to a Brick Break. As Cavalier is next, and I want to set up on this thing since it can't do much to me, or at least I thought. While X-Scissor deals pathetic damage, Giga Impact brings me to 1/4 of my HP. While I can knock it out with Flamethrower, I don't know if that's enough to deal with Volcarona and his remaining party. Which it isn't, because Volcarona finishes me with Hyper Beam. In the next battle, Cavalier changes things up some, going for Aerial Ace as opposed to Giga Impact. While it does deal less damage, I'm still only at 118 HP for his remaining Pokemon. Fortunately for me, this time Volcarona's Hyper Beam misses, and Return is able to get the one-shot. And from here, Brick Break can one-shot his remaining Pokemon Druddigon and Vanillux. Emboar finishes a disappointing post-game with a real time of 1 hour 51 minutes and 57 seconds at level 90 with an in-game time of 9 hours and 51 minutes. If you're wondering how I'm getting the real time, I'm just checking the recording length of the post-game. I don't have a timer running in the background, so it's probably a couple seconds off, or maybe even like a minute off. It really doesn't matter. As I've stated before, I go with in-game time. Anyways, as much as I would love into diving and comparing these two, I think it's a bit premature to do that until we see how Superior does in its own run. So, in the next run, we're gonna see how Superior does in its own solo run of Pokemon Black. As always, thank you for the continued support on the channel. I hope you're enjoying these Gen 5 runs as much as I am. I'm trying to stick to a New Year's resolution of staying on the bi-weekly releases, so I better get to work. I'll catch you in my next one. Take care, everybody.